Welcome back to the Connors and Ferris High School Sports Show, brought to you by Salvatore's Pizza. On our specialties hotline is a guy I've known for a long time now, Steve Bradley. His name is Coach Steve Willoughby. He is our G&G Fitness Coach of the Week. This week, in his 31st year, he got his 500th career victory. Came against Pittsford Sutherland, 58-44 on Tuesday night. Steve Willoughby, congratulations on that honor, getting to 500. What's it feel like to reach a milestone like that?
Well, a lot of people have asked me that, and it's not the number, it's the amount of memories that I have, over the years. So many memories. And, I've also lost 181 games. So I'm probably leading Section 5 in that department. But, it's just a memory. So many memories over the last 30 years. It's amazing. And watch how the game has changed incredibly.
How so?
Well, there's been an expansion of sports, girls lacrosse and so on, that, we kind of share athletes. Well, we didn't have to deal with that back in the 90s. And so we were powerhouses in the 90s and the 2000s, and then we had to learn to share athletes and share their time, their off-season time. So, some kids are more skilled than others, but I think the talent level from maybe 2002 to 2010 was probably the best that I've ever seen. It's still pretty good, but that was legendary.
Steve, are you a milestone guy? Do you remember win number 1 and win number 100 going back?
I don't remember 1, 2, or 3. I remember the first one. I don't remember the hundreds. But the very first one was against Dan Baker and Perry back in the late 80s. I remember that game, being scared out of my mind and wondering if I knew what I was doing. And I think what motivated me through the years was being in Livingston County League and being told by the Monroe County schools that, we couldn't win. You were just winning because you were down there. And that just really fired me up as a young coach. And we worked harder and harder and harder to try to get to that level where we would earn the respect of the Monroe County schools. And eventually we moved to Monroe County.
Right. Then you HFL was in Livingston, and now they're in Monroe. And there's a pretty good fraternity of girls basketball coaches that have been around that, you've developed good relationships with some of your competitors too.
Absolutely. I've the first 10 or 15 years I coached, I probably didn't have a friend in the world. You won a lot of games, and the more you win, things were just bad. I came to Monroe County, and I met a couple of guys, Dan Judd, Todd Julian, Sam Rizzo over at Brighton, some great people, and they kind of embraced me, and they kind of accepted me for who I was. I can be a little rough in games, and I yell a lot, but when you get to know me on the side, I'm just a regular guy, and they appreciate that.
And one reason you're our Coach of the Week is not just because of 500. You've developed some amazing relationships. You've had some great players. I know you care so much about the players and the sport, and not just for HFL either. Around Section 5, you are one of those coaches. I always was one of my go-to guys to say, hey, who's good, who's not good, how are you guys going to be? You're going to tell it to me straight. We're going to talk about this year's team in a few minutes, but I want to go back to what I call the glory years of your program. You won 9 Section 5 titles. You're 9-7 in championship games, but you made it to 3 state championships games. You won one of them. And from 03, 04, 05, I think were the glory years. That's the Jessica Chapin, Maddie Brown. Am I hitting these right? Maddie Brown.
Michael Williamson. Whitney Rush, Kendall McKay. That was the starting 5. Great team.
And was it Poughkeepsie Lords? Who was the team you got you couldn't get past?
Lords, Poughkeepsie Lords. Not won like 10 state championships in a row, believe it or not. It's unbelievable to think about that. And they beat us in 04.
So you had some great players, and you developed those from young kids. I remember young kids, Maddie Brown and Jess Chapin and all that. How much did you need to work on the mental side of trying to beat an opponent like that? Or was it just physical and X's and O's?
No, it wasn't X's. It was all mental and getting stronger physically as they matured and got older. But we scheduled games all over the state. We scheduled Shen. We scheduled teams in Albany area and down in New York City to play some really tough competition leading up to that. Well, we learned from 2004 because we went to the state finals. You were there. We lost by about 12 points in the state finals, and we were good. And, man, they were good. So we said, we got to get better. And I remember having that conversation with you after that game, and we just focused on that the whole next year. We just loaded our schedule up with tough tough opponents. So I think we lost to Nazareth that year and a team out of New York City. That was the only time we lost.
Talked a little bit earlier in the interview about sharing athletes, but just talk about and tell us how the game has evolved from the beginning. You know, the three-pointer was a new thing in the late 80s, 90s, and just the quality of the play and the players and the basketball IQ. Girls basketball Section 5 has always been one of the better sections in the state, but how the game just came to life and got to where it is now.
Yeah, when I first started, it was a slower game, and a lot of teams were playing zone. And, you know, I came from a boys program, and we up-tempoed it really quick. We started pressing and trapping in the half court. And I think other teams started copying us. I mean, not that I was the first to do that, but, you know, I learned from some great coaches. I used to watch Al Best hit some of his great teams. I learned
Larry Horgan had some teams.
Larry Horgan and Karen Schuster probably motivated me more than anyone, because she was in Livingston County, and, you know, she was my nemesis and my arch enemy for probably my first 5 or 6 years. And now when we see each other, we just can't hug each other enough. You know, we're best friends, and I've learned a lot from these coaches over the years. But man, the game changed, and all of a sudden the 3-point shot was big, and athletes were getting stronger and faster, and, you know, we just had to keep going. If you're not doing off-season stuff, you're falling behind. So back in, people don't realize this, back 25 years ago, there was very limited AAU, very limited off-season programs, summer leagues, things of that nature. So.
But you had some great teams. I so enjoyed covering them, and I know how much the community was involved and supported your group, and it's just a lot of great programs in HFL, from soccer to lacrosse to basketball. Really great
Nordic
stuff.
skiing.
Nordic skiing. Well, hey, Beth.
Well,
Legend.
it's funny you mentioned Nordic skiing, because Bernie Gardner's a close friend of mine, and I probably learned a lot. Bernie Gardner couldn't coach a basketball game to save his life, but I'll tell you right now, he knows kids, and he knows how to train people, and I've learned so much from him through the years, and I think he made me a better coach also.
Well, let's talk a little about this year's squad, because you're off to, as we record this on Friday, you play a game today, I should say. Yeah, you do play today, right?
Yeah, we play tonight. It's Pittsburgh Sutherland.
Sutherland tonight, and then, so you're 4-1. You already beaten them, but you've got a couple of fantastic players, like star players. Tegan Cam, against Sutherland, she had 27 points, 16 boards, 10 blocks, 6 assists. She's 6-footer, right, Steve?
6'1". Yeah, she's up there.
Well, I just thought maybe inflated it on the.
I did. I actually underinflated it, and then she called me and made me correct it. So.
She's a junior, averaging 15 and 12 and 5 blocks. And then your senior guard, Hannah Thelke, is averaging 13, 3 rebounds, 3 steals, can do so many different things for you. When you have 2 really strong players like that, you can win, right? You can win with role players around them.
Yeah, that's the key. You've got to have some role players that are going to buy into that situation, because those kids get the majority of the shots and the majority of the touches, but you got to have that force on the boards. You've got to have that defender. You've got to have somebody to distribute the ball. And I like this team. We've got those kids, and we've got a couple kids that come off the bench that are willing to accept their role as a bench player coming off the bench. But you got to have the outside shooter. Selke's a great knockdown 3-point shooter. And, Tina has just blossomed over the last 18 months or so, and she's a hardworking kid.
Yeah, go ahead, Steve.
Yeah, when we were doing the pre-interview, you mentioned having 4.5 starters back, and you mentioned just, everybody needing a role. And as the game has evolved, as your time is involved in it, has it become easier to communicate the importance of accepting your role to players? Because everybody likes the 3-pointer's cool. Everybody likes to shoot, from long range, but you need to do what's best for the team. And
it's funny you should say that, because the very first day of practice every year, I talk about our team as if we're all coming to Thanksgiving dinner. We've got to bring a dish to pass. And what are you bringing to the program? Because not everybody's bringing the turkey, not everybody's bringing the pie. You've got to take care of business here, and someone's got to step up and do the things that nobody else wants to do. So we get them to buy into that early into the program. And, I'm not going to say I get every kid to buy in, but we get enough of them to buy in, and we're pretty successful with it.
I'll bring the cranberries.
You've had a great coaching life. I know I've been there through the ups with you and the downs. I remember writing about the passing of your father during
Mhm.
a tough time for you when some big games were being played at the same time and going through that. And I know you've made a world of a difference with a lot of young women out there and players in the HFL. How long do you keep going, Coach?
Well, like they say, Father Time is undefeated, so I don't know. I'm going to keep going. I feel good right now. I love the program. As long as Brian Donahue wants me to be there, I think I'll stay. Sooner or later, we'll see.
Well, congrats on being our G&G Fitness Coach of the Week. Real happy for you and what you've done for so many people. And good luck to the Cougars moving forward as you navigate through this weird season. But I know you'll keep them on track.
And thanks to all you guys for what you do for us. Appreciate it.
Glad to do our share, right, Steve Bradley?
All right.
Absolutely. Thanks, Steve. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
All right, that's Steve Willoughby on our Specialties hotline. Remember that great company down in Geneseo? It's called Specialties. Get to their website by going special, that's easy to spell, and then TEES, and then the number 1, type in .com. You can see their great stuff. Support them, support local, because they support Section 5 Sports and us. You're listening to the Compton Ferris High School Sports Show, brought to you by Salvatore's Pizza.